So 2,000 metres away to our left, these are the 6 crews contesting the final of the women's 8s. Australia in lane 1, China in 2, New Zealand and Netherlands, the 2 fastest crews in this race. The centre lanes, good British crew in lane 5, and then the Romanians out in lane 6. Romania, of course, won the world title in that famous race in Sarasota, ahead of New Zealand and Canada. Should I say Canada and New Zealand? There's the Chinese crew in lane 1. Word for the cock, Zhang Xiaowen. And she's 30 years of age, the oldest athlete in that boat. These Kiwis have been in the form of their life, been looking great out paddling, looking fantastic out racing. And the crew stroked by Kelsey Bevan, closest to you, the 28-year-old from the counties Manukau, coxed by Sam Bosworth, the male cox, coached by Dan Kelly. There's the Dutch crew, coached by Tietje Schwaschund, stroked by Veronique Meester. There's the British crew. We were talking with Catherine Douglas, Greg Searle and myself in the Regatta Cafe this morning. The stroke of the British crew. Yeah, Leander Club oarswoman and Scott. She looked pretty relaxed then, but I'm sure she's ready to go now. There is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the crew that won, 6 with the Cox that won gold in the World Championships in Sarasota. And they're in lane 6. The World Cup leaders, the Dutch, with that distinctive yellow jersey.
And you hear that call over, you know it's time to stop relaxing, come forwards, get the blades nicely buried deep in the water. And after the silence comes the power and the noise and the acceleration as the crews get going. And everyone seems to have got away pretty smoothly there.
So the Australians got a great start in the demonstration race, but we're riding there with the Dutch crew, the Sternpair from Neerhouse of Veronique Meister and Alette Rohitsma. Neerhouse, the club on the Amstel. And the Australians have gone out quickly again. Look at that. They've got almost a third of a length, and we're only about 30 seconds into the race.
Yeah, well, that Australian crew, they're relatively young, aren't they? Katrina Wary, the most experienced with the gold in the Coxless 4 last year. And then this crew, I guess, world champions, the Romanians, on the outside lane here. But they've got the experience of winning this event. And it was only a demonstration race we had, so not too much to go in terms of the lane form.
So this is what we love about the sport of rowing. Only the Chinese out of it at the moment in lane 2, but 5, 8 in a line. And there on the top of your screen, the Australians with a marginal lead, but the Dutch and the British and the Romanians are coming back at them. You can see the speed flicking at the moment. The Netherlands, the quickest moving crew on the course, 20.2 kilometres an hour. Catherine Douglas, the Scot, 28 years of age, in the stroke seat. There's a shot of her as we go through the first marker.
Well, this race just flies along, doesn't it? The Australians did get a good start, and they're now up there in the lead. The Dutch, as we know, won in the first World Cup race in Belgrade 3 weeks ago, and the British will be happy to be in the field there. But all the crews looking to make these combinations work and figure out what is the best way to get this 8 working.
The thing is, all these crews will know that the New Zealanders only had a 2-second difference between their first and second 500 metres in that race for lanes. We know about the second half, but it's that really small split between the explosive power in the first quarter getting into your race rhythm. So that's so important. The coaches will have seen that, and they will have instructed their crews to dig in this part of the race, the second quarter.
This Australian crew moving pretty well here over in lane 1 at the top of the picture. And at the top of the race, they can look across. They know all the competition is to their left. We see very few looks out. All of them wearing those visors. All of them just following the person in front, wearing nice and long. But it's the Dutch who've actually come through strongly now in this second 500 with a better pace than anyone else.
The Dutch look to be so easy, don't they? I mean, it's beautiful rowing.
They do look easy, don't they? It's just a real relaxation around the finish, and those blades just fold out of the water, that they give it that power through the middle. But it doesn't really look like they're muscling it at all in the second half. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Coached by Titus Washand, coxed by Duiki Feta, 27 years of age. But you've got the power of Monica Lant in the 6th seat, and really its power being used very cleverly. Inka Cleveling in the 5th seat from Gias. Beautiful rhythm from the Dutch. They are clear.
Well, take a look at those split times, that they've actually taken 2 seconds, more than 2 seconds off everyone in the second 500. And that's the sort of thing that makes a difference.
Yeah, the Dutch 129 and 301, so that's 132. And New Zealand, we haven't seen that fantastic second 500 from the Kiwis. They will come back in this third quarter. There's the bow of the All Black 8, number 3. They've been so impressive out here, but the Dutch had something to say about that in the first half of this race.
If that boat number 3 is going to move, it needs to start moving now if they're going to come back enough. We know the New Zealand boats are incredibly well trained. We know they come through in the third 500, but they really need to start making that move now. As we see in the 4-seat, Jackie Gowler's head went through the pitch. It looks just like her sister, equally impassive, sitting there, but they need to keep working on as they've started to move on the Australians, now having to work hard to keep pace with this.
Yes, Sam Bosworth, the Australian male cox, and he was in that seat at the World Championship. Sorry, James
Rook, I think it is.
Sam Bosworth is the Kiwi cox.
They have the man coxing the women and the women coxing the men. But this is where the speed is at the front of the course. It'd be good to get one of these side-on shots and see what's happened in this third 500. I think the New Zealanders will have been quicker than the Netherlands in the third 500, but will they have been quicker by enough?
So the New Zealanders on the charge as we come through to the last quarter of the last race in this wonderful World Cup 2. Holland lead, New Zealand in second place. A great race for the bronze medal between Australia at the top of your picture and the British crew, but these are the blades of the Dutch.
And as that graphic shows us, both those crews did a 1:31 in the third 500. So although the Dutch aren't moving away, the New Zealanders haven't come back by enough. They need to be about 2 seconds quicker now in this last 500, and that's a lot to do in an 8 over the course of 500 metres.
So the drone shot flies over the Dutch crew. To their right, New Zealand, and then you've got Australia, who've held that third place, being challenged by the British crew in lane 5 on the left of the Dutch.
Yeah, the British crew really grafting now in this last 500 to try to get back to this Australian crew. The Australians went so early. The British still rating lower than them, so could trouble them for the bronze medal. But the Dutch now are hanging on. They're in the red buoys. They've got that lovely slippery rhythm that we say. It doesn't look like they're muscling it. And I think the New Zealanders, the race course is going to run out for them unless something goes wrong, I think, in the Dutch boat as we come into the last 100 metres or so of the race.
So Hogworth, Oldenburg, Rustenburg, Van Veen, Cleveling, Lance, Juritsua, Meester and Theta. The Dutch women are in fantastic form. The British challenging the Australians. I think the Australians will hang on for that bronze medal. The New Zealanders, they haven't quite got enough in the tank to get through the Dutch. Dutch take the gold, New Zealanders take second. I think it will be Australia to take the bronze medal ahead of Britain in 4th. The Romanian world champions have to settle for 5th place, and China yet to cross the line back in 6th.
Just waiting for this Chinese crew to cross the line, but what a lovely race from the Dutch. Just so smooth. I called it a slippery kind of rhythm. They're just so easy around the finish, and then just not disturbing the boat and getting onto the next stroke.
One of the crews of the day, I think, that Dutch 8, in terms of, you know, ease of rowing.
I agree with you. They made the movement so easy. The New Zealand crew, I think, will improve the longer they're in Europe, as we know they've only just arrived. That's their first time out here, and the race just got away from them too much, I think, in the first 500. And particularly that second 500, actually, when the Netherlands moved on. The Australians really braved the way they took it out. I think they did well to hang on and get a medal there.
Yeah, James Rook, their cox. Sorry to mix him up with the Kiwi cox, Sam Bosworth, but he steered their crew ably, and they really hung on, held off the British challenge for that bronze medal. So there we see that beautiful poise of the Dutch 8.
Yeah, there's not the aggression and the gritting of teeth There's just a strong press through the middle of the stroke to really accelerate the boat and use the blade power when it's at 90 degrees to the boat, and then just relax after that.
Do you remember, I mean, Veronique Meister, stroke of that 8, we saw her in that 4 that looked so good at Henley last year when they won the inaugural version of that event with Inka Cleverling, and the two women rode beautifully in that race at Henley too, won the under-23 gold medal, and it's that style that really sets this boat up. Called it sexy rowing then because, you know, it looks so easy, it's just great to watch. And
the thing is, you know, it's not easy, you know how hard they're actually working, but they're able to use the big muscles the way they need to, and relax the other muscles so that they can stay calm. So when the pressure really came onto them here at the end, they didn't tense up but managed to just hold it together with the charging New Zealanders beside them. But I think there's plenty more to go on in women's 8s. The Romanians will be very disappointed. They're the reigning world champions. Interesting to see what comes from certainly the United States, possibly Canada, possibly anywhere else in the world.
Fantastic celebrations at the end of the race. Just amazing where they get the energy from, really. But I wonder if Ollie Zeidler has cheered up. Well, before we get into the men's single sculls ceremony, Netherlands confirmation, nearly 2 seconds up on New Zealand. Australia 5 seconds behind, but ahead of Great Britain, who have to settle for 4th place. Romania, the world